Hey, today I'm going to be showing you how to make a sweet and spicy lasagna. This one with shredded chicken. Now you could easily use any other type of chicken, ground chicken, you can use beef, you can use turkey. Personally, shredded chicken I think is where it's at. What we're going to be using with the chicken, we're going to be using a simple 3-cheese sauce made by Prego. We've got our cheeses here. I'm going to add a little bit of corn, and we've got a little bit of red and green peppers that we've cooked up. I'll go over how to do the peppers and how to do the chicken a little bit later. I'm going to be using a dark brown sugar because of how spicy we've made the chicken. It'll counterbalance it and make it flow and meld together beautifully. When you're using your hot sauce, be careful. Depending on the kind you have. The kind I have here is meant for cooking with. You're not meant to eat this directly. So we're just going to add a little bit to this. We'll add a little bit more later, but that's after we shred the chicken. Alright, now that we've got the chicken shredded, I've added a little bit more olive oil into the pan just to help keep some of the moisture. I'm going to put a little bit more of the hot sauce in. Go ahead and add a little bit more cinnamon and cayenne as well, just for getting the internal part of the chicken that didn't really have any of the seasoning on it, to make sure it's got a good amount. And now I'm going to stir it up and cook it up just a little bit more, and then it'll be ready to go. We've got our water getting ready right now. We've already added a little bit of salt and we've added the butter, and we're going to add just a little bit of olive oil. Not very much at all. That's just going to make the noodles a little easier to work with and give them a little bit more flavor. Now, after you get certain vegetables like your peppers chopped up and ready to go, you're going to want to sear them a little bit before you get them into the lasagna. If you don't, they're going to be a little bit crispy and not have a very good texture for the lasagna itself. Alright, now we've got our base layer, and we've got our cheese layer. The cheese layer is just a layer of cheese. That's where you would put your ricotta or your cottage cheese. Personally, I don't like using it. It's definitely an option. A lot of people still enjoy it. I prefer just to use pizza shred and a lot of Parmesan on that layer. Now this layer, we're going to go kind of heavy with the sauce to start off with. And this right here is not going to be enough sauce for this layer. And one important aspect is to try to keep these edges down. And you definitely want a good amount of sauce on the edges when it comes time for the top layer. If you don't, you're going to have crispy bits all around the edges of the entire lasagna. And that's one thing I suggest trying to avoid. That way you have a tender lasagna all the way around. And this right here, if you do it on this layer and other layers, not necessarily every single one of them, but at least 2 or 3 of them, mainly the top layer, you'll avoid that. Now, the biggest aspect of this layer is this is the first layer where we introduce the chicken. You're going to want it spread out a good amount, but you're also still going to want a little bit for the top layer to mix in with the cheese and the sauce on the top. Now, one of the biggest important aspects of this layer, the thing that's going to make this lasagna what it is, this is the layer that the brown sugar really plays an effect. You don't want to put too much, but you're probably going to put more than you would expect. It's a very, very fine balance. too much one way or the other, and it's not going to have the effect you're going to want. That right there is almost enough. That right there is how much you want, basically. Now, I'm going to add just a little bit more sauce, basically to help lock in some of the moisture of the chicken on the top, so it's not dried out by the noodles as the lasagna is baking. Now, I'm going to add a little bit of cheese. Not a whole lot on this one, since the cheese layer is right above or right below this one. So, a little bit of cheese, basically to act like a glue for the layer above it, so that it sticks together totally. And you don't have lasagna sliding apart the whole way. Add a few of our peppers. And add just a touch of our corn. Our corn also plays a big role in the sweet aspect. And after this, you're ready for the next layer. Here we have the finished product. Looks amazing. The smell is to die for. Got my plate right here. Serving it with a small salad with a light Italian style dressing. And this right here is the first bite. That's good.